Welcome to Chill Not Found, Episode 1, The Glorious Chaos. Begins. Today, your unqualified but undeniably enthusiastic hosts, Danker and the Wheeze, pull back the curtain on the mysteries of the universe, or at least the ones that sound fun when you're half asleep at 2 a.m. First up, the dancing pineapple. Is it a fruit, a myth, or an interdimensional ambassador sent to vibe with humanity? Then we tackle the real reason dinosaurs went extinct. And no, it wasn't an asteroid. It was something far dumber. Finally, we politely reject all spy movies as sources of life advice. If you're zip-lining into your ex's wedding while wearing night vision goggles, please seek help. So grab your least disappointing snack, flop into whatever chair hasn't betrayed your spine yet, and prepare to have your third eye mildly tickled. This is Chill Not Found, because the vibe has left the building, and we are here to chase it down.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chill Not Found podcast. I'm your host, Danker, and I'm also here with Wheeze.
Hello, I'm Wheeze.
And today we're going to be just going into small talk, and we're going to be talking about a few things, and there's going to be a story. So there's a lot of stuff to get through, but small talk. How you doing today, Wheeze?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How are you today, Danker?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm looking at your screen, and you're watching a dancing watermelon.
I'm watching it on both screens.
Oh my!
That I have. I am content with life. This is all I need.
Oh yeah.
And hug.
And a hug, of course. But this is the first podcast we're ever doing, and of course, as we get further into podcasting and make more episodes, it'll be more smoother, better transitions and stuff like that. So sit back, relax, and listen, and hopefully you guys enjoy, and leave a comment and do whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, so the main thing we're gonna get into today is the main topic. I feel like scientists lied to us.
Oh yeah?
Reasoning: I don't think they know how the dinosaurs actually went extinct.
Not a clue.
My theory is, obviously, dinosaurs went extinct because they just could not hunt other animals their size. They just starved themselves to death.
My running theory is that somebody time traveled into the past and showed a dinosaur one of these videos, and then they all died because of it.
Huh. Yeah, I would. Honestly, I wish you guys could see what she is watching right now, because I don't know.
It's just dancing fruit.
Yeah, basically. But overall, I just don't feel like all of the dinosaurs will go out by a meteor. I don't think so, because just like, how did everything else survive, but the only thing that died off was the dinosaurs? That does not make much sense.
I mean, like, another theory could be like some sort of mass illness, or a parasite in the food.
But
like
wouldn't that affect humans?
Well, I don't know.
Another theory is dinosaurs are fake. Honestly,
fair.
No,
I mean, it could be like the gladiator bones that they used to find forever ago. Those weren't actually gladiator bones. Those were bear skeletons.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no actual, like, in my opinion, no proof. Now, did I do any research on this? Absolutely not. But it's just one of those things that dinosaurs, I'm like, I feel like they would still be alive. So the only thing I could really think of is, like you said, some type of parasite or something that only really affected them, like that zombie disease for deers, that one parasite.
Yeah.
Or
something that like heartworms they're very common amongst household pets, but not so much humans. It's not like you can't get it as a human, but you know.
I mean, like, I don't think heartworms are the main factor, because if that was the case, then all animals would have been killed off from that.
Well, yeah, no, obviously that's not the main factor, but like an example of like a type of illness that can affect one type of species but not the others, despite close contact.
Yeah, but like my main thing is on the thing of dinosaurs and why they're no longer around, no longer with us, is, you know, honestly, I'm like, the most logical thing I could think of is us humans. We just hunted them to extinction. We do that.
I mean, we've done that with a lot of things.
Yeah, like we have hunted a lot of things into extinction. Like, to be fair, it makes sense because they have a lot of meat supposedly, and you could feed a whole tribe.
Giant chicken.
Yeah, like you could feed a lot of people with all that meat. I'm like, to me, it makes perfect sense for that. But yeah, so, but I'm like, it's just weird that everybody's like, oh, they all got wiped out. Now, of course, there's, you know, the Great Flood, if you're gonna go with the Bible.
Yeah.
But according to the Bible, you know, even dinosaurs were on the ship or on the ark. So I'm like, I feel like
that must have been a massive boat.
Oh, it was probably huge. But
like it had to span. Oh, how much space do you think that boat would have taken up?
I think they actually came up with an actual measurement.
Somebody somewhere did the numbers and the math.
Let's see here.
And that somebody somewhere is not going to be me.
How large and wide was Noah's Ark? Let's look this up. It was 50 kilometers wide.
Yeah, how many American units is that? How many freedom units? I failed math, okay.
Hold on. Oh, that's not the thing. So the width was 510 feet. The height, how wide it was 85 feet.
That's actually pretty small.
The height was 51. And the total, let's see. So it was more long than wide, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but like that's less than a mile. That's smaller than some yachts. Yachts bigger than that.
I mean, it could be bigger, I'm like, but this is according to the internet.
Yeah, but the internet's a little silly sometimes.
Yeah.
I would know. I peruse it on the daily. Oh, my shoulder finally popped back.
That's a great thing.
The timing of that, though.
But yeah. So like, but it seems kind of weird that the fact that, you know, all the dinosaurs would go out like that.
Yeah, or maybe it was like a change in the atmosphere, because there have been several changes according to science.
Well,
throughout the time that the Earth has existed.
That's also a huge like thing in the Noah's Ark, because, you know, the water broke down and flooded the earth, which honestly could have made the atmosphere thinner. The rays could have been more deadlier and took out the dinosaurs sooner. That could have been possible.
And it could have also, like, that would also explain the rapid expansion of human reproduction and the shortening of the life expectancy.
But to be fair, we mainly do that to ourselves. But, you know.
Yeah, cheeseburger.
Exactly. But, you know, overall, I'm like, there's just so many different things that honestly could be the cause of why dinosaurs. But honestly, I just don't think, like, one, the dinosaur bones exhibits and everything, they're just matching bones. Like, it's not even guaranteed that's what the height of those dinosaurs are, or even what they would look like back then. You know, it's just that's just them guessing, and that's been proven. You know, because they're like, this looks like it fits. This looks like it's the same thing. And so they just put it all together. But, you know.
I mean, another thing that's interesting, also with the, if you look at, like, you know how on like sedimentary settlements, you can see the lines and all the different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an entire section across the entire world that is just gone. And it's like roughly 8 million plus years, I think, or maybe it was 8 billion years that are just gone.
Oh, the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're referring to the Dark Ages. Basically, there's just a big gap, which is also the calendar theory, where basically there's just a huge gap in between thing like here and here. But that's more of an argument in between on how calendars work. This is my ideal on it. Nobody can.
Rocks.
Well, but you also got to. They're comparing that to the calendar day, on how it's separated.
I just think it's neat.
I mean, like, there's a lot of unknowns to it, but yeah, that was the Dark Ages of nobody knew what happened.
Does anyone know yet?
Not to my knowledge.
That's fascinating and also mildly terrifying, because how does an entire chunk of history that large just go missing?
I mean, like, obviously we're all part of a simulation, and the computer just froze for a while.
Mood.
And
Me
so
when I wake up.
But, you know, just overall, just everything just not, you know, being there is kind of weird. But
Yeah.
like, it just doesn't make much sense.
By the way, this video plays in my mind
Oh, I would imagine.
constantly. Just like in a tiny corner. There's just a miniature TV constantly
She is
playing.
watching Dancing Pineapples now.
Yeah.
I wish you guys could see what she's seeing. But we're not going to promote because they're not paying us.
Yeah.
But,
This is just something to keep my brain engaged.
but yeah, but honestly, I feel like, you know, there is just a big era of just not understanding what's going on, not understanding on where it went, and honestly, who knows?
Who knows? Maybe someday in the distant future, the era that we live in now will also just be a gap.
Yeah. But that's that. That's all I have on there.
Fair enough, yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. And welcome to the segment of story time. So let me tell you a fun story that lives rent-free in my entire family's head. This is a story of basically me as a child watching a spy movie. So, me and my 3 brothers were in the living room watching the spy movie. And we were fascinated about this spy movie. And we saw a character being lowered down on a side of a building. And we thought that was so cool that we had to recreate it. So my father, he was at the time a heavy diesel mechanic, and he had a lot of bungee straps. So we went to the garage, grabbed all of his bungee straps, and we took out the hooks and we linked them all together. We climbed up on our roof, and me being the youngest at the time, I was pointedly volunteered, quote unquote. Voluntold, yes. Where I was going to be the one testing it. So we get it to a pretty long length where they could lower me down. We tested it off the edge of the roof and it touched the ground. So perfect. So we wrap myself around the waist with these bungee straps, and my brothers are like, all right, this is your time. Go ahead, jump off the roof. We got you. We'll lower you down. Which honestly sounded like a great idea at the time.
Yeah, no, fantastic idea. Phenomenal sentence.
So I go ahead without hesitation, which honestly don't know why I didn't have any hesitation at that time in my life. Just no second thoughts. I just did stuff. So I just get to the edge of the roof, look at my brothers, give them a thumbs up, smile a little, and then I do a full jump. And I just jumped off the roof, spread my arms, my legs, going down. And the wind is going through my face, like around my hair and everything. And I'm falling. I was like, okay. And I feel tension on the bungee. And I'm like, okay, this is where it's going to stop. And then they're going to lower me down. But the ground kept on getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And as soon as that process happened in my mind, smack right on the ground. And it just rained. So it was muddy. The ground was dirty because honestly, dirt. And it was just not a great time. And I pushed myself up and I see a perfect impression into the dirt of my face, squinting and just, just absolutely not looking like I had a good time. Now I was hurt and I was like, because I just jumped off a roof, landed on my face. So I climbed back up on the roof and my brother's like, don't worry, we shortened it this time. We'll absolutely get you where you could go. Just slowly let yourself down instead of jumping off the roof. So this time I get on the edge of the roof and I'm a little more scared, but I still do it. I let myself hang by my arms on the side of the roof and I'm looking at the ground. I'm just like, are you sure? Like, we got you. And they put tension on it. And I'm like, okay, there's tension. This will be fine. The thing about bungee straps, they stretch. And when you have more length with each other, they stretch even more. So I let go of the roof and I'm just like, this should be fine. And when I let go of the roof, it was fine for about 2 seconds. And then I started going to the ground and I got closer and closer. And then I felt a little tug. I was like, oh, good. It stopped me. No, that was one of the bungees unlinking itself. And then it smacked me with a metal piece right in my back. And right as that hits me, smack, right into the ground again. I lift up my face, another face depression into the dirt. And at this point, I'm in tears. I'm upset. I'm hurting. And I just did not want to have to do that again. I was absolutely in pain. And I looked at my brothers and it was just him crying. I was like, I think this is a bad idea. We should go back inside and finish the movie. And, as a little child, because I was 11 and, not a single brain cell in my mind. And my brother was like, okay. And so we go back inside because we paused the movie right when they were lowering that person down. Because obviously, before we even let the movie finish, we had to try it ourselves. So,
of course,
we went back inside and I'm already bleeding from my nose because I smacked the ground twice from the highest point of our house. And my mother looks at me and she goes, don't bleed on the carpet. And then walks away. And we finished the movie. And basically, it was just an awful but funny time because it was just, we took inspiration from a movie, which I advise you guys not to do. And
do not try this at home, kids.
Yeah, do not try it at home. I learned from experience. And basically just overall, just stay away from taking inspiration from shows and TVs and stuff like that, because it will not go the same way that you think it would go.
Oh yeah.
And I learned a valuable lesson.
I would love to point out that, I can understand you not having any brain cells engaged in that moment, but your brothers too, not a single brain cell between all of you?
No. No, with all the stuff we've done.
Who had the brain cell that day?
That all the brain cells went to my sisters. Obviously.
They took him.
Obviously, they were born.
They took him, and what did they leave? What did they leave behind?
All my sisters were born before us. We were left with nothing. Not enough brain cells left for the younger brothers.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so just overall, not a great experience, not a good time, and absolutely pain, agony. So yeah, that's, you know, you guys will hear more stories in the future about silly and dumb things we have done. But with that said, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast. It's a little short one. We'll get more topics. We'll get more stuff. This is just an introductory podcast to introduce to what we're going to be doing.